Hey there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Brian Pickens, and the mission of my channel is to engage with you on current and upcoming film and television topics and get your feedback on them. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell so you're alerted when new videos come up. As I've said in a previous video, the horror genre has never been my favorite movie genre. They were fairly enjoyable growing up, but it wasn't until this year specifically that my respect for them skyrocketed a lot. There have been so many awesome horror movies that have been released in 2021 that I can't help but accept that horror is now one of my favorite movie genres of all time. One of several notable horror movies I adored this year is Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho. Last Night in Soho is a superb film that paid massive respects to the original 1960s cinema and pop culture glam, as well as making its own identity with its superb writing, direction, terrific acting from the leads, among other things. The whole movie was this scary, colorfully explosive, nightmarish, neon-fueled fever dream that kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time. There are various aspects about the film I adore. Those include its haunting and riveting screenplay, phenomenal direction, solid pacing, the deliberate and eerie editing, the powerful lead performances and chemistry between the actors, especially Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy, the mesmerizing and haunting musical score, the immaculate, colorful neo-noir cinematography, the grisly and bone-chilling tone, and the bloody, brutal violence and dark subject matter, such as its strong social commentary on domestic violence towards women, the toxic sides to show business in the 1960s, and women navigating a dark, unsafe world in the Me Too era. I commend everything about the film, especially its ending. The third act of the movie is probably one of the best finales I've seen in a very long time. The ending is everything I wanted Candyman's ending to be and made the payoff and finale totally worth it. Last Night in Soho is up there with Baby Driver to me. In this video, I will explain why Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho is a modern-day psychological horror masterpiece, and obvious spoiler alerts for those who haven't seen it. And the opening sequence is a marvel. Ellie dances around her home in an elaborate ball gown made of newspaper to Peter and Gordon's A World Without Love, in a scene that speaks to Ellie's profound nostalgia, her poverty, and her creativity all at the same time. It's also a reminder of Wright's affinity for needle drops. Even before reality distorts, this is a young woman deeply invested in the past, but demonstrative of trauma so potent that distant eras become an escapist salvage. Ellie quickly leaves her sheltered rural British town to begin the long journey to London, a record player and a suitcase of vinyls in tow. London is downright mythic for a doughy-eyed kid like Ellie. The big smoke breathes with centuries worth of dreams. Aspirationalism is one of Last Night in Soho's implicit themes, particularly the desire to make a mark on the world and leave a legacy behind. Ellie falls even deeper in love with the apartment on her first night there, when she's whisked away into a dream of Soho in the mid-1960s. Night after night, she closes her eyes and enters the story of Sandy, a young singer who once lived in the same room and whose wide-eyed artistic dreams match her own, and Jack, a suave nightclub manager whose interest in Sandy seems to straddle a fine line between business and romance. Number 2. Last Night in Soho covers mental health and psychological trauma brilliantly. Last Night in Soho did an excellent job showcasing the harmful effects of PTSD. The writing is mature, smart, and takes itself seriously without trying to make it into some annoying, ham-fisted lection to lecture the audience on mental health. Ellie is haunted by her mother's suicide and sees her in flashes. As she tries to put her mind on other things, she encounters more traumatic experiences as she falls asleep every night and sees Sandy go through the mistreatment at the hands of abusive, malevolent men. This is further exacerbated by the ghosts of the men Sandy killed towards the later act of the film. Given Ellie's sheltered nature and her new university environment, her fears lie adjacent to a more general anxiety surrounding sex, partying, and adult life. These in turn end up contrasted by the presence of a boyish suitor, her sweet and helpful classmate John. It works when the film wants to provide Ellie with a reprieve and an opportunity to return to the carefree innocence of her pre-college days. When Ellie is pulled further into Sandy's harrowing mystery, Wright's influences become more overt. Between visual nods to various Hitchcock films and several attempts at the kind of unsettling voyeurism Michael Powell cemented in the collective horror consciousness with the slasher movie Peeping Tom. Last Night in Soho has phenomenal filmmaking. One of Last Night in Soho's greatest strengths is its immaculate filmmaking. It vastly differs from Edgar Wright's previous work because of how they had to adapt the style to suit the much darker and chaotic subject matter. I thought the production design of the alternate 1960s was alluring and immersive. It really felt like they traveled back to the past and filmed everything 6 decades ago. The set construction, costuming, and lighting was all enticing and pulled me into its scary world. The cinematography was also top-notch as well. The cinematographer used a variety of different styles to use a camera as a tool to take the audience on a wild ride. The rainbow-colored, neon-infused atmospheres helped really sell the tone of the movie and display how dangerous it was for Ellie to be there. My favorite part of the visuals was how they blended the practical effects brilliantly with the CGI. The scene where Ellie sees Sandy dancing and they're mimicking each other's movements was terrific and elusive. I loved how rehearsed and seamless all the choreography was and how they used all the practical man-made sets to their advantage. The ballroom dance scene was amazing with how they made the terrific camera transitions to ensure Ellie and Sandy would replace each other at the right time. The whole crew really put in the work and it showed. The VFX complemented all of the in-camera footage and didn't feel like a sloppy substitution. Number 4. Last Night in Soho's ending is incredibly satisfying and fulfilling. The best part of the movie by far to me was the ending. It was everything I wanted out of the movie and so much more. The reveal that Sandy turned out to be a young Miss Alexandra Collins, who was Ellie's older landlord, is brilliant. She was the last person anyone would suspect because she seemed so well adjusted and just a kind old lady who was trying to keep her house safe. The fact that she has so many demons underneath and inhabiting her house shows that what's inside someone will eventually come out one way or another. Miss Collins' past manifested itself in such a grotesque and traumatic way that Ellie got sucked right into the pits of it. Miss Collins would then proceed to hide their bodies in the walls of the house so no one would find them. It was also telling that all the abusive men she killed when she was younger had their spirits trapped in the house as well. Specifically, the room she stabbed them all to death in. The reveal and climax was so unsettling, chaotic, and gruesome that it made my skin crawl and my spine shiver. It really goes to show that not everyone is who they say they are, and you don't know what someone has truly been through. I also like how it turned out that the older man, Lindsay, who spooked Ellie throughout the movie, who ended up dying when he got hit by a car, turned out to be a good guy who was just trying to help her. I didn't see that coming at all and thought he was just an older Matt Smith trying to use and abuse Ellie again because she reminded him of Sandy from her new hairstyle and appearance. The best part of the ending was Ellie finally overcoming her trauma of her mom taking her own life and having great success at the fashion show where all of her dresses were well received. She now has a caring boyfriend and is finally at peace following her crazy trip down nostalgia lane. Last Night in Soho is definitely a fantastic work of art that I am so happy I saw in theaters. Everything about the movie made me much more appreciative of it as a whole. It's a shame it didn't get more recognition while it was out in theaters, but I know it'll definitely garner a cult following as time goes on. Edgar Wright knocked it right out of the park, along with Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, and everyone else involved in making it, and I can't wait to see what they all do next. I hope that you enjoyed my review and perspective on why Last Night in Soho is a modern-day psychological horror masterpiece. Join this channel for more upcoming reviews, and I look forward to reading your feedback in the comments section below.